All right, hi everybody. Danny Bader here, just dropping in for a quick video that I know you will enjoy. So one of the gifts, I guess, of doing what I do and what all of us do really in moving through this social media, while sometimes it can be a bit of an annoyance, it also gives us the ability, gives me the ability to meet some really, really wonderful people that I would not otherwise have met. So my guest today, Joe Bakhmoutski, right, Joe? I got that name right. We worked on it. Joe
That's
is,
perfect, Daniel.
yeah, Joe is originally from the Ukraine and lives now in Melbourne, Australia. And on my last podcast, many of you probably listened to with Jackie Clark. Jackie's a friend out in California. She did a great podcast on aging well and what we need to do to stay fully engaged in life. And Joe listened to it all the way over in Australia and sent me an email, brief email. And I started to check out what he is up to in his story. And I thought, man, we got to have this guy on for a little bit. So Joe, listen, welcome. I'm glad that we've connected.
Yeah, it's so good to have you, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you got it. You got it. So why don't you tell everybody real quick, your story that you shared with me around your cancer?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. So, I guess for me, if we go back a few years, I was really, at the best point of my life. I just got married. We had our son, and my career was going up. I was like at the best place of my life. And then just all one night, I was just in the shower and I was just getting myself clean. Mm-hmm. And my hand reached down and I felt this lump, this hard lump on my testicle. And that's when Daniel, like this cold shiver just went right through me, because I knew that something was wrong. Yeah. And something was really off. And I kind of ran to the doctors, and I was lucky that I did, because things happened quite quickly from there. I had operation, I had chemotherapy. So things kind of took on from there. And I'm incredibly grateful to my medical team, who really did an incredible job on really getting me through this thing. But it's been a confronting experience then, and not only physically but also mentally as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what were you thinking right then when you obviously, like you said, you felt that and you thought, man, this is not right, this is not part of my body, something's going on? And then you went to doctors and you hear those words, right, that you have cancer. What was going on for you then?
It was all sorts of things. I was like, first of all, thinking, am I going to die? And I was also like going, well, why me? And why now? Like, what have I done to deserve this? And I know it's not logical, but you go through these things. And I was thinking, well, what if we go through all of these treatments, right? Because they were telling me about, the operation, they were telling me about chemotherapy, but They were also like, no one was giving me a guarantee, right? Obviously, like, you might still go through this. And I was like, well, this might still not even work. And even if it does work, will I still be able to live my life then? Will I still be able to, I don't know, go to work? Will I still be able to play with my son? Would I be able to have sex? Like, I mean, all of those things, like, just they just freak you out,
Sure. And I saw, I checked out your website, and you and I had spoke once before, but same thing too. You're thinking about all our testosterone levels and everything else that, that contributes to us being men. Yeah. So what would you say to somebody, Joe, that maybe is recently diagnosed and they're thinking that same thing? Why me? What did I do? You've got a podcast, Simplify Cancer. You wrote the book, Simplify Cancer, and you're doing great work. What would you offer to somebody?
Yeah, I think it's part of it is coming to terms with it and realizing that it's 100% not your fault. And I know that we all know this, I guess, on some level, but it's also coming to terms with the reality that it's here. It's if something like this has happened, I mean, it's awful, but it's now all about putting that kind of diagnosis behind you, or something that's difficult, and figuring out, what do you do now? Right. And I think the most empowering thing that's helped me, and I know that's helping so many others, is trying to get the whole situation under control and understanding what is it that you're going through,
Right.
understanding what are your options, like what can you do in terms of different treatments, how can you support your body just to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most important thing is, and this is something that I guess I didn't realize throughout this journey at the start of it, is how crucial it is to really kind of connect with people around you. Because I think especially like us guys, we're not that great at kind of talking about our struggle.
Yeah, right.
And that kind of really made it difficult for me at the start because I wasn't, kind of including I was including my son, who was like 3 year old at the time, and I think that kind of I know that hit him, and I think this idea of being able to talk about going through a difficult time is
Yeah.
crucial.
Yeah.
It's finding the
Oh, yeah.
right words and explaining to them just how things are,
Right.
because you know,
Right.
we don't wanna kind of tell too little.
Yeah. I think it's so important for Joe, what you went through, and you and I, what I went through back with my accident. Same way, I wouldn't let people in. There's so many people to support me. And as you said, they were trying to find the right words. And sometimes I would judge the words they would say or what they would say to me. And then I came to realize on the other side of that, it doesn't matter what somebody says to you when they're showing up from their heart in a place of love to support you. Who gives a shit what they say? They're probably as nervous as you, but they're there for you. So don't focus so much on the words that they say, but focus on the fact that they're there for you. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think it's so important what you said. Any struggles that we have, figure out what you're going through. Figure out what you can control, right? What you can control, because there's a lot of things that we can't. And then make sure that you allow people in. Yeah, you allow people in. What were you thinking about the potential for death then? That's something that comes up so much. People ask me because, I died and I came back. And I think that's probably the top question on people's list is what happens? So what were you thinking about, possible death for yourself? Were you scared? Were you freaking out?
My biggest thought through this was I felt this thing that I haven't done enough yet. I felt like I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
I can't die. I still need to do so much. And at that point, I had no idea what it is that I was going to do. I just knew I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I kind of felt that it shouldn't be happening. I couldn't accept the thought of death.
Mm-hmm.
And and I guess we don't really get used to it. What was it like for you, Daniel?
Well, for me, the whole experience happened so fast, right? So it was radically different from somebody who would be diagnosed with with an illness or terminal illness like you. For me, I was lowering a ladder, and the next thing you know, I had that experience. But the experience itself was peaceful, and there was no fear, and there was no anger or rage or regret. It was a very loving transition from the energy that's in my body, the divine energy that I believe is a little piece of God. That left when my body stopped, and it was joined back with the source, which I think we can join with and connect with here on earth. Which when I talk with people, that's a lot of when you're seeking support. Make sure your relationship to God, universe, conscious, something bigger is good. Work on that, because that's imperative that we have that when we go through these difficult times. But the act of me dying, the act of me taking my last breath and then my essence continuing on, that was beautiful and peaceful. And I mean, these words don't even describe it. Now here's the thing leading up to death for people who are in that situation and it doesn't happen instantly. Sure, there's all kinds of thoughts about what you want to do and what you want to accomplish and how you lived and all of those things. I think they're normal. Although you remember when I was speaking with Jackie, that's one of the big things that as we age, we really got to fight and struggle and find some peace with the fact that we're probably all going to die. And while none of us want to, right? And I still don't want to. I enjoy my life and my family. I'm not scared. if I was diagnosed with a terminal illness, I would still fight to live. I just have the gift of kind of experiencing that other side.
Yeah, exactly right, Danny. And I think it's something that is I know is certainly made incredible difference for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you might feel the same way. Is finding something that is greater than yourself. Is finding a way to express yourself in whatever way that is for you. The way you feel that you are making a difference
Right.
out in the world, in whatever way that is for and that's different for all of us, right? But if I find that when you feel like that, when you feel like you are contributing on some level,
Right.
that kind of pushes the worries away, right? And it gets you in a space where you're one-on-one with life, and you're enjoying the moment,
Yeah.
and you're making the best of it.
Yeah. It's so key, right? Did you hear everybody? Joe said, enjoy the moment that you're in and make the best of it, regardless of the future circumstances that we in some cases don't have control over. Yeah. Joe, how did you deal with your anxiety when I know it's something you support people with, when you had that anxiety, and you still probably have it in life. I think all of us have anxiety, right? Or worry about something. How do you deal with your anxiety? What would you offer to people?
Well, the first thing that I do, Danny, is I know that when that anxiety kind of wells up, is I used to try to just kind of hold on tight and make sure that people don't notice that I'm kind of freaking out on the inside, and just kind of put on the normal face.
Right.
And whether that anxiety comes in form of panic attacks or just kind of anxiety from life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that the main thing is like the way that I think about it, Danny, is kind of like like waves. If you're out in the ocean and these waves are coming towards you, is just kind of letting them hit you.
Yeah.
Is letting them come in and letting it wash over you.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're kind of letting it happen, when you're letting it coming into your life, then and you just letting it to wash over, it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
This wave is gonna hit you and it's gonna go away. But it's just vital not to hold on to it. That's the first thing. If you can just calm yourself and let it happen, I think that's a great relief, because you're not fighting it. Fighting anxiety, fighting this fear is just so much more difficult. So I think letting it happen, and then taking control of your body and trying to just breathe and just keeping yourself steady in one place and letting it ride.
Just breathe. Yeah. Really focus on your breath, right?
Yeah.
And let your breath help to regulate that. Yeah. That's so important for all of us as we're on this journey. Joe, what you're good now with your cancer, right? You're through treatment, you're healthy.
Yeah, I'm good, Daniel. So yeah, it feels good, but there's always of course a shadow hanging over me that I could come back. That's why I started, that's why I was, after this whole cancer thing was over, I started seeing doing all these tests every 3 months and getting myself checked up with my specialist. And but in a way, Danny, it used to really freak me out. But I realized that checking with myself every 3 months like this to see if the cancers come back, because it can, right? It's enabled me to go into this mindset where I'm always thinking, have I done the best that I can in my life? And I ask this every 3 months. And if I can, if I have done the best, if I've lived fully, if I've tried to make a difference, if I've been the good, the right person for my family, if I showed up at my best, then I can head into this checkup. And I can take it whatever it is, right? Because I know that I've done my absolute best to live life for myself and for those around me.
I think that's so cool, the way you just boiled that down. And that's, I've read that book, and you may have read it or seen the article. Bronnie Ware wrote the top 5 regrets of the dying. And, sometimes when I mention that in my speaking, I kind of joke with people and I say, oh, that sounds like a real inspirational book, right? And they laugh, but I say, listen, it's the reflection. It's the awareness of our impending death and our mortality that really can empower us to make significant changes in our life now, like you're saying. And that's the key. You don't think about death to be depressed. You think about and contemplate your death, as you said, to say, am I showing up? Am I being the best dad, the best husband, the best worker, my relationship with God or spirit as good as it can be? Am I being the best Joe, the best version of Joe that you can be? That's the key, man. And, it's certainly obvious to me. I got to think you had a good amount of that prior to your cancer. And then on the other side now, you certainly have that as a tremendous mindset.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. But I think it's something that you got to remind yourself every single day. And I think to me, that is one of the key things about just one of the that I've learned about myself is realizing that this is another chance at life. This is another chance at life, and just like you, then with this feeling when you stand on the edge and you're looking down into the abyss, you never really know what's gonna happen.
Right.
It's you don't want to waste a single day, right? Like you want to be able to you want to be able to live without regret, and that is a great thing that I've realized, because then I talk to my grandma on the phone every week, and she's 96 years old.
God bless.
Yeah, exactly, right. And she says to me, she says, I wish I would have done more. She says, I wish I've done more in my research. And I said, like, how can you say that, grandma? Because you have like a disease named after you. You've done this incredible life. And she said, you know what? Still, when you get to my age, one of the things you can have is regret about things you haven't done. And Danny, I don't want to have this regret.
No.
Whatever age that I end up getting to, I want to know that I've done everything that I can to be my best self in so many different ways, like you talk about, being whether that's whether that's as a husband, as a father, through your spirituality, whatever way that is for you, through your work. But it's just realizing that you're at your best, and you don't regret the things that you've done.
So true. So true. Joe, where can people go find, I know your website, what's your website address? Tell everybody in case they want to get connected with you, or if they're a cancer survivor, or, recently diagnosed, or somebody in their family, where can they go get kind of some of your work and your books and things?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. So it's the best place to go to is simplifycancer.com. And the podcast is also up on iTunes and Google Play, and of course there's my books are up on Amazon as well. So but the best place to go to is simplifycancer.com.
Go to the website and check it out. So I recommend anybody doing that. Joe, before we sign off here, and I am very thankful that our paths have crossed. You said some really great things in our brief conversation here. What are 3 things that you would offer to anybody listening now, regardless of where they are on age, health? What are 3 things that Joe would say to them and offer them to really consider?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. I guess the 3 things that I would say are crucial is, especially when you're going through a difficult time, because I think that's important, because I think we all go through this at one stage or another. Or maybe that you've been through a difficult time at some point of your life. I think one of the key things about it, the first thing I would say, is so crucial to be really direct about it with people around you, with your family, with your friends, and because one thing that is crucial is, in some ways, it's not even about you, it's about them. Because when you keep them involved, and when you kind of let them in to talk about your struggle, they feel a part of it, and they feel better knowing that they get you and what you're going through. I'd say that's number 1.
Yeah, good.
The second thing I would say is to live in the moment. And I know it's I know it's something that it's everywhere and everyone talks about it, but how do you actually do that? I mean, I know that for me, the thing that really helped me one time, and this is something that I keep coming back to so often, is asking myself, if this was my last day on earth, what would I do right now? And that is the question that really kind of brings, at least brings me up to realize, to put aside worries and kind of everyday concerns and being busy and stuff, and just to focus on what's real right now. And I think that's a great way that really helps me to live in the moment. And the third thing is the things we touched on earlier, Daniel, in our conversation, is to really kind of find or rediscover, the kind of sense of higher purpose for yourself, in whatever way, that is for you, whether that's through volunteering, whether that's through, doing a project like writing a book, whether that's helping a loved one, whether that's, doing something in the community, or whatever way that is for you, making a difference is so crucial. I know that all the incredible things that you do then in terms of speaking and books and coaching. I like finding something that really speaks to you, that you can throw yourself into, that you can be passionate about. Because not only does it take your focus away from uncertainty and from worry, but it also gives you that sense of contribution, that sense of being at one with the world,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think those things are crucial.
I think they're very crucial. And Joe, thank you for the reminder. So listen, Joe Bakhmoutski, it's been a blessing to get to know you briefly. You're doing great work out there, man, and keep putting it out in the world. I love you, brother, and perhaps our paths will cross sometime in person. So thanks again for joining us, Joe. And everybody, listen to what he said, Joe, and start to implement some of his wisdom. Take care. Have a good one.